Welcome back to another episode of the Western Blend Podcast. And this week we got the first three-peat guest. You're also the only person to have been on twice so far, I'm pretty sure. So,
Oh yeah.
but got Leidy back on the podcast, my brother. And I don't know, it was about a year ago almost. We did the first podcast together, so not quite to the date, but we were both kind of busy with some stuff. I had a trip coming up, and you had some big news on your end and stuff happening and making moves. So it's been a little bit, but I'm sure we'll get into some of that. So what's up, dude? You want to rip the Band-Aid off? I guess it's already kind of out there, but you want to let people know what's up?
Well, well, obviously everybody else don't know. So I lived in Texas for a year and a half, and my dad started a business up here in central Pennsylvania, which, eventually he needed help. He's gonna need help with, and I don't know, man. I was missing home. I missed all my friends from home, and I kind of just took the opportunity to work for my dad. Moved back up here. I've been up here for, not even a week yet, but yeah, no, I did. I left Rodeo Time. I left working for Dale's in a good way. Like, I didn't get fired, and I didn't I think I left on really good terms with everybody, and at least that's what it seems like. And I don't know, it was a crazy 2 years, man. That was an experience of a lifetime, and I'm very appreciative of everything Dale did for me, and my growth as a person, and like my bronc riding. I kind of told him this whenever I was leaving. It's like the thing I appreciate most of the last 2 years at Rodeo Time that I had was like being able to like be around a really good group of people, and like almost kind of follow in their footsteps on how they act as people, which was truly amazing because it helped me out a lot as an individual, and I don't know, gave me a really big perspective on what I want my life to look like. It's just gonna be done back in Pennsylvania now.
Heck yeah, dude.
It was hard. It sucked, but yeah, no, I'm back home. I'm loving it. Still rodeoing. That ain't ever gonna stop. Still gonna ride bucking horses. I already have my APRA card back, and I'm getting my PRCA permit for this year. Gonna do the First Frontier circuit and make their finals and see what I can get done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'm super fired up for you. Honestly, I don't know what I thought. When you moved down there, I was like, dude, that's the coolest thing, and now's the perfect time for you to do it. And then just the way it seemed, I was like, I think Clay is permanently in Texas. But I always kind of knew like how close you were with your family and all your friends back home and stuff. I'm like, that's got to be hard. And I guess I didn't fully realize that until honestly this trip I went on and met up with some of the guys from back home. We went to Arkansas and shot ducks for 5 days out there, and that drive back, dude, I was like, man, I have not really been homesick at all ever, and I was like, I kind of miss some of the stuff about being home, so I understand it a lot more. And it is, dude, like, you got to think about what you want in the future, and you gained all this experience and these things that'll be with you forever from your time down in Texas, and you can bring a bunch of that knowledge back and put it towards bigger goals and stuff back home. So
Absolutely, man. Like, you know me better than almost anybody else on this planet. Like, I agreed. Like, I think when I moved to Texas, it was like it was obviously a brand new experience for me, and I didn't know how long I was gonna be there. I didn't think I was gonna ever be there forever. I knew I was always gonna end up back here. I just didn't realize how soon, like, that change happened. I think with my dad's business growing, and that's a really good deal with a lot of opportunity behind it, and he kind of just offered me the idea of it, and I thought about it a lot, and I was like, well, I kind of got to be back at home to help get it kick started and rolling, for both of us, so that we're both steady and doing things the right way. And I don't know, man, kind of like every time I've talked to you all about it, like, there's nothing like home. I do, a piece of advice I give to everybody like now, like, no matter who talks to me, it's like I think everybody needs to get away from the norm to grow, because without uncomfortability, if you're comfortable, you're not growing. If you're uncomfortable, you're growing. And then once you get to a point to where the uncomfortability kind of slows down and you're kind of feeling a little complacent, that's whenever you need to find something that will make you uncomfortable again. Not saying that moving home made me uncomfortable again. Like, this is a very common place for me, obviously, but like now it's the uncomfortability about moving back home. Now it's like, well, now like I get to start my life. Like, I get to settle down. Get to settle down around the people that I love the most and that I'm around, that I enjoy honestly being around more than anything in the world, which is awesome. And I still get the rodeo. Like, I moved to Texas, because I had this big dream of being a bronc rider, and I was getting on broncs at home, and but like I wasn't really learning at a fast pace because I was only getting on a handful of horses a year. Well, I moved to Texas, and like, I mean, dude, I was getting on broncs once a week, twice a week, and then like rodeo season hit. We got in the practice pen, and then we were getting on, two, three, maybe four times a weekend. So I learned very quick about bronc riding. I know what I need to do to be a successful bronc rider. I know the steps now to, coach myself up, learn from other people, and then like also be able to like give back to the Northeast, community that, because rodeo is a special world. It taught me a lot about myself, like in the last year. Like, I rodeoed hard this past summer, with Donnie and Carson, and that just that in itself, like just traveling with those two guys and Jay Stout and Cole Futrell and being around Dale and like that group. When Dale would have Jacobs Crawley come to the house, which won the world in the bronc ride, and like it, I gained so much knowledge from these guys, and like not even just on a bronc riding standpoint, just an individual standpoint that like allowed me to open myself up to new ideas and not necessarily new beginnings, but like kind of just leaning in more on the, you know, some like I need to get back into it. In between the last couple, weeks going to the NFR, coming home, putting the 2 weeks in, well, then now I have to pack up a house and, traveling home. But I got big on like, reading my Bible a little bit and, leaning more in on my faith and just, trusting God and trusting God's path for me. And, you know, I got to make it happen though. Like, I can't just, rely on him to do everything for me, but, leaning in on my faith and, believing in him and what his word and what he has, in store for me, and putting in the work to do it and be better. That's kind of like a lot of what I learned from them guys. And, I was on the podcast with Dale right before I left Rodeo Time, and we kind of got talking about, our walks with God a little bit. There's a God-sized hole in your heart, and the only thing that can fill it is God. So I think I didn't really realize that when I moved to Texas. I was kind of in a weird way, but once I kind of learned that everything's going to be all right as long as you lean on your faith and believe, and that's what I did, and that's kind of where I'm at. So bronc riding aside, work aside, that's like one of my biggest takeaways from being down there for the last 2 years and being around those guys that believe in that so much. And I don't know, I kind of just started rambling on for a little while, but it was a very special experience. Like, it was what I gained from it was something that I didn't realize I was going to gain, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I, I really do appreciate everything that they did for me the last 2 years.
Yeah. I'd really just look at it as like that whole deal of when you're older and you look back on your life and everything you did or didn't do, you're going to be so stoked that that's something you went and did. You know what I mean?
I'm stoked right now, and I just like I just was like I'm 23. I left Rodeo Time, and like, dude, I like even right now I'm stoked about it, like, because I'm in a better way than I've ever really been, and I think if I, you know, don't continue doing the things that I've been doing the last 2 years and the things I love, I would just be doing myself wrong, if that makes sense, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was great. And there's a lot that kind of happened in between the last time I was on I was on the podcast in what, June,
Yeah,
July?
probably somewhere in there.
Like, in between then, like pretty much all I spent my time doing was rodeoing and working. And it did me well. Like I loved it, and it went fast, that's for sure. But I'm very blessed that I had that opportunity and was able to go down there and be part of that group and make good friendships with those guys too.
Yeah.
But but yeah, man, I missed out on the duck hunting trip. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was a good time.
You and Zach were hitting me up all the time, and I was like, oh man, I was like that looked like a blast.
Yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't beat yourself up over it too bad. There wasn't near as many. Well, I mean, we saw a lot of ducks, but a lot of stuff was high and the weather
Yeah.
was crap, dude. It was like 70 degrees. Like,
Well, we were hunting in Texas there for a little while, and we never got a good push of birds. Like we didn't. We tried our hearts out, but
yeah. Eh,
it was too dang warm. Like nothing was moving.
Yeah. And I said there was a lot of ducks, but I mean, you talk to anyone local down there and they tell you there wasn't anything. So,
Right.
but when you're used to the couple ducks in Pennsylvania where if you see 6 of them sitting on a pond, you get fired up.
Dude,
There was a
that's
lot of
real.
ducks down there.
That's real.
Yeah.
I that is real. I don't know. It sounds like PA had a pretty good year this year. It sucks that I kind of missed. It doesn't suck I missed out on it, but it sounded like it was one of the better years for Pennsylvania than what it's been in a long while.
Yeah, they shot a pretty good variety of stuff and got a pretty good push of black ducks, which, I mean, if we get the weather for it, we do get, but don't always get it, so.
So I was just talking about what my experience was in Texas and what I really have gained from it, and I guess this is a question I really haven't asked you yet. Like just outside of the podcast, us just being homies. Like this is just something that I feel like I should have asked a while ago that I just never have really asked. But like you're in Tennessee, you're riding a bunch of horses all the time, getting to do some pretty cool things, see some pretty cool people. Like what do you feel that in your time in Tennessee so far you have gained like
Hmm.
as an individual outside of your craft?
Outside of my craft. Man.
It's a hard question because it's a question I wouldn't have been able to answer
Yeah, I don't.
if you would have asked me that in June. I wouldn't have been able to answer it. I would have been still figuring it out.
Yeah, I feel like without really like sitting with that one and thinking about it, like I don't just want to throw some, half thought through answer out about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, like I kind of told you this whenever we talked the other day on the phone about it. Like now's the time just to deep search about yourself, like learn, because like you're in a situation that I was really that I was pretty much in, where you're far away from home, you're far away from friends and family, and like now's the best time to learn about yourself and figure yourself out before you come back, because it truly makes things a lot better and a lot. I mean, I don't know, you just feel a lot more confident and um comfortable in your own skin, if that makes sense, whenever you kind of figure that one out.
Yeah. I think if I really thought about it, it'd kind of be that, um, like, yeah, we're still both young, but also it's like your perception of time changes as you age because you've lived more years already. So a
Right.
year in the grand scheme of thing compared to looking back is going to go a lot faster. And I don't know if I explained that good enough for people to
No, it makes
understand, but
sense.
think about when you were a kid and summer vacation felt like a year. And like by the time you were a senior in high school, it was like, bam, you know what I mean? Or junior
Yeah.
to senior year, it was like in the blink of an eye, you were back in school.
Yeah.
So like that kind of thing. So I think just like the importance of relationships and like good relationships and your friends and your family. And you know, I feel like I put a lot of pressure on myself to perform at a high level and be successful and stuff, but like at what cost sometimes of, not spending as much time with friends and family, or making that phone call and just like slowing down and talking to someone, or just enjoying little things in general, because I'm always like, well, I got to be doing something, or like grinding towards something more so in the future. And then that goes into the like, well, if I can get through this, then I'll be able to do that, and then I can slow down and enjoy it. But if you're constantly doing that, it's just always this thought of like down the road, down the road, down the road, and you're not really enjoying
Living
stuff
in
in
the
the,
moment.
yeah, exactly.
Well,
Which I
and
still
that's,
haven't figured out how to do that. So, but
I mean, I agree. Like, I agree. I mean, that was kind of like in a spot that I was kind of in, and like, I don't know. I think that's my biggest thing, like, kind of what you were saying about like relationships, and the more people you know, the better off you are. Like, go up and shake that person's hand. Go up and introduce yourself to people. Put yourself out there. Like, the more people you know, the better off. Better off you are as a person. And that's even with like friendships and relationships and family wise. Like, you know, put yourself out there. Allow yourself to be present in time. Like, Dale kind of explained this to me right before I left, and I was honestly really thankful for it because it's something that didn't really click in my mind, and till he said it, like, it pretty much the gist of it was is like this thing you're chasing. So in instance for me, I'm chasing being or like I'm chasing riding bucking horses. I'm chasing, a gold buckle. I'm chasing winning. But like if you wrap yourself so much up in that like identity of you know that one thing, if it gets to a point where you're making it your identity, you lose track of everything else that's happening in life. So like it's okay to like look at life and like look at other things and be present in those things that are going on in life and enjoying it. And yeah, like you're always going to look forward. You're always going to be making goals and trying to reach your goals and push forward each day. But like if you're just constantly overwhelming yourself with that drive and that there's a difference between like being passionate about something and setting goals and chasing it, and like to a point to where, and like on the flip side of the coin, it's like you can almost drive yourself insane trying to get good at this one thing, where you're just pretty much watching everything else go by you, and you're not making that phone call, you're not meeting that person because you're so wrapped up in this one thing that's kind of consuming you. So I think it's like it's good to have a passion and goals to strive for and go after, but like don't get to like, this is just advice for everybody. Like, like if you get to a point to where it's like almost feels like it's your identity and it's the only thing you have going for you, you got to slow down. You got to look back at it because it's going to get to a point where you're not enjoying it anymore. You're just trying to make it. I
yeah,
don't know if that makes sense.
yeah, I think so. I had a bunch of different thoughts run through my head there, but I don't know if I can wrangle any of them. But I saw, I saw a thing the other day, and I want to say it was Justin Martin. He was one of the Duck Commander guys. I think he's still with Duck Commander, but he does some other stuff. And this is, because my algorithm's now full of duck stuff since I
Yeah.
went and shot some ducks again. But he like shared something, and it was along the lines of like, when you pass, what do you kind of want to be remembered as? And like his thing, the gist of it was just like he doesn't really care that people were like, man, he was a great duck hunter and like did this, that, and whatever. It was like he wants to be remembered as like a great father, or like a great friend, like
Yes.
the stuff that like if you really think about it, like probably matters more. I
Absolutely.
say probably. It definitely matters
It
more, like who
does.
you are at your core, not like this thing that you did that you attach your identity to.
Absolutely. Because like I mean, I know it. Like one day riding bucking horses, like I'm not gonna be able to do that thing anymore. Like there's gonna come a day where like I won't be able to climb over and nod my head on a bucking horse, you know, anymore. And like because rough stock, it's such a small window. But like I think rodeo is always gonna be a part of my life, and like no matter what I'm doing down the road, and like obviously I'm still chasing goals with it, and I believe fully that I'm going to do really great things in this sport. But like your time window is so short, and I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm gonna have fun doing it. I'm gonna enjoy every time I get to get on a horse and go down the road and meet new people and do different things. But like at the end of the day, my relationship with everybody is the important thing. And I feel like there was a point in time where I always kind of felt like I wanted to be remembered as a cowboy, and like needless to say, a rodeo cowboy. But like now, it's like I want people to look and be like, that's a good dude. That's a person that I can call and have in my corner whenever needed, and you know, just looking at life in a different kind of perspective now, other than just the one thing. Kind of what you were saying,
Yeah.
but but I mean that that's a good thing to think about. Anybody that's listening, my advice for anybody is just look at what you're doing in life and look at you know look at what's been making you better, and then chase what's been making you better and enjoy that for as long as you can.
Yeah. I found that post. Says, spend some time with great friends this morning in the Duckwoods. We had a great hunt and allowed time for some reflection. The last 2 days, I said my earthly goodbyes to two different folks. One, my great uncle, who had a long, full life of 81 years, and the other, a young man at 36 whose life had just started. I heard memories of them from loved ones, and it just made me think, what will people say of me when I'm gone from this earth? I hope ducks are the last thing they bring up. I hope it's that he loved folks deeply, led his family to heaven, and pointed others to Christ everywhere he went. That's a legacy I want to leave behind. Ducks are great, fish are great, and success is great, but they're all temporary. I hope, like both of these folks, I'm known and remembered for things eternal. Happy Sunday, y'all.
Yeah, that's that in itself pretty much just wrapped up everything that I was, trying to explain for the last 20 minutes. That's really good. That is a really good post and quote.
Yeah,
I like reading that stuff. That kind of stuff like pumps me up for the day. Like,
yeah, same.
open up your phone, see something like that. It really makes you really pumps. I don't know. It fires me up. It fires me up talking about it, because it's something that I learned a little bit about myself and still learning. And it's like, dang, this is cool. Like, this is how life's supposed to be. This is living. It's just not going day to day. But
Yeah,
I think, I don't know. I think everybody should take something from that. It doesn't matter what you're doing in life. I think that's something that everybody in the world can take something from, for sure.
yeah.
But
Sometimes I wonder if some of that's like, I don't know. Chris Williamson talks about like there's unteachable lessons in life that like one of them's like money won't make you happy, and people are like, well, that's easy to say when you have money and I don't. Like my life would be so much better once I have money or whatever. Like there's a bunch of different ones that he lists out, and it's kind of like, well, pretty much universally, the people that like get the thing that you say will like make stuff better or whatever doesn't, or like there's, I don't know, he has a whole list of them, but it's like one of those things that you kind of just need to experience enough life to realize what all is actually important, I guess. And maybe some people never get there, and I'm sure some people get there sooner, but
it's just a weird line that, like, for me, it just, like, I just kind of, this all just stems back from, growing stronger in my faith for the most part, but like, it's just something that like I knew existed, and I knew that there was people that followed that way of life, and not saying I never did, but like I didn't realize how much more what's the word? More like kind of free as a person it made me feel. Like even like something that you just read out loud. That quote you just read. It's like now when I read something like that, it's almost relatable to the point to where like it's like I understand what this guy's saying and I know what he's trying to say to the audience. And it's like, okay, so how can I incorporate these topics into my life? Because money isn't really happiness, but people think it is. You know,
Yeah.
I think it has something to do with happiness. I think people just relate money and happiness to a thing, but you could be happy in millions of other ways other than money that actually are genuine and true, which which is another rabbit hole we could go down, but I could just ramble on for a long time about it just because of like I don't know, I think it's awesome. Like I truly do. I think as soon as somebody is okay enough to sit down and like think about themselves as an individual for a long time and are willing to look at the wrongs that they've done and like figure out a way to fix it in a morally good way, everybody will just eventually find that path of happiness, find that like, hey, I'm gonna live in the moment and not live like you're obviously living for the future because you want to do good as an individual one day, obviously, but like live in the moment, be who you are, have good morals, and like you'll everything else will figure it out like self out from there. Like you don't have to force it. But I think just kind of like going off what I've said that like this whole time of me just rambling on, but like the biggest key to it is just being okay with like finding the things that you have done wrong and finding the things that make you happy and genuinely happy and chase that like I came home because I missed my friends and family and those are the people I'm closest with forever. Like that's part of the reason I came home, but like those are the people I'm going to be with for as long as I'm on this earth. So it was good for me to get away for a long time, but it feels really good to be back and knowing that like everything just picked up right where it left off.
Yeah.
I drink water.
Yeah, I should have got something else for me to drink.
Another sweet tea.
I mean, the options are limited at the moment, so.
But yeah, man. So how's things been going in Tennessee? You just got back from that duck hunt trip. That was pretty sweet. I was getting FOMO bad every time you guys were sending me videos and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
I mean, it's been pretty much the same since I got back. Started working the next morning
Heck
and
yeah.
haven't really stopped working since, so.
How many horses you riding a day right now?
I don't even know. Dude, it depends so much. Like,
Yeah.
it's tough with it being so cold because you don't want to take them. The main barn stays about like 50 some degrees, and then when it's below freezing outside, it's pretty rough to take them in and out of that and wind up getting them sick, and then you can't ride them for a while. So when it's real cold, we gotta wait for it to warm up some, and I don't know, trying to get stuff worked on cows. They're at a show right now, so there's a bunch back here that I need to get rode, and I don't know. It's a mess, but we're busy, so I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah, at least you guys just, staying busy. That's the important part.
Yeah,
I do. I love that way of life. Riding horses and taking care of cattle. I did enjoy that. That's one thing that isn't really as popular of doing up here as it was in Texas, which I'm gonna miss doing that as much as I was able to do it.
yeah,
It is a blast.
I feel like there's an opportunity for it back home.
I feel like there is too.
I looking at it now, I'm like I don't really understand why there isn't more of it other than I mean, it's a big dairy area,
Yeah,
but
that's
since
kind of where.
dairy kind of tanked, it's like everyone just went to row cropping. I mean, more than they already were doing for the dairies. Like a lot of the dairies don't exist anymore. They either got big or they got out.
I didn't know all that.
Yeah.
Is this something that just happened recently?
I mean, I probably am not the most versed to be speaking on it, but I'd say like within our lifetime, probably a lot of the smaller dairies have kind of died out for sure.
Yeah.
And it's a lot. I mean, there's still some guys holding on, but a lot of them, like a lot of guys, aren't milking anymore. They might still have the barns and everything, but they don't actually own any livestock. They're just row cropping, cash cropping.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. The population of farmers and ranchers is continuing to get older. So I feel like there's a chance for some opportunity down the line, honestly.
Oh, dude, for sure. I think for sure there's a you could bring a way of life somewhere for sure, but it sure as heck ain't dying in Texas, at
Yeah.
least where I was. But like I don't
Yeah.
know. I think I agree with you. I think there is opportunity for it to come down the line and be more of a popular thing. I just don't know. I just don't necessarily know if people know what all that looks like. Completely like that side, that kind of world, what it really looks like, and I think that's just why it isn't more of a popular thing right now. Like the
Yeah.
ranch, like rodeo is blowing up, and
Oh yeah.
I'm loving it. Like Rocker Steiner doing his show, and it's on YouTube, Cowboy Channel. Like that's huge because like now there's a bunch of kids that want to be just like Rocker Steiner, and but like they're promoting that way of life and that world to the world, like for the world to see now at such a big stage and such a big rate to where it's like rodeo is blowing up, and it's awesome to see. And I kind of have that feeling about like the ranching way of life. I feel like eventually when people lay more eyes on that kind of way of life, it might blow up too.
Yeah. I mean, I did just say that there's seems like there's opportunity, but I also don't know that you can compete on like a price per acre basis against one like urban sprawl because I can't think of a better term for it, but like farms getting broken up into smaller lots and houses getting built on it just because there's a lot more people on the East Coast and especially like those big dairies and stuff and like the cash flow you can get off of growing a crop on that land versus a cash flow, which is, well, they're both volatile, but the cash flow that you're going to get from trying to run beef on it is probably, you're going to get out competed, probably, especially by a big dairy. And just like the practicality of it, of putting together enough contiguous acres is probably going to be hard to
Yeah.
make it pencil. But you can also run a lot more cattle on less acres on the East Coast because of the way our grass grows
Right.
versus
Right.
out west. So I don't know. I think about it a lot because honestly, I've also am probably leaning towards I'm going to move home at some point. But also I'm starting to think that it's pointless to really try to plan because there's someone else that has a plan that I don't know. So
Yeah.
we're
That's
kind of playing it by ear, but like rough outline of what we want to try to do maybe, I guess is how I'm leaning on stuff.
for sure.
Um, I totally just lost my train of thought on that. Oh, probably leaning towards moving back home. So thinking about that kind of stuff. Eventually, I should say. If Josh listens to
Well,
this, I'm not planning to leave him tomorrow or anything. So
yeah. No. Well, I mean, regardless of like how you look at it, I mean, I don't know. I think it'd be like you gotta start small. You gotta start somewhere. But I mean, I would love to one day eventually have a small little ranch type deal for myself up here on the East Coast and kind of like bring that way of life up here and just a little bit, just out of the fact that I just honestly enjoy it and love it so much.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, gathering, gathering your cattle on horses, even in areas you don't really have to gather your cattle on horses in, just to push them into the push up, like in the catch. Like, that'd be so fun to do. And then, like, branding your cattle and, roping and dragging and, actually, doing it, doing it the way that it is down there versus, just using machines to do everything. Like, I think that's just more of my speed and what I would really enjoy to see happen one day, which, it happens, it happens. I'm going to push for it, obviously. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Got to have money to do that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think, like, I agree with you, though. I think it is a world that is possible to make existent up in the Northeast. But, um, like, I didn't, like, I don't know. I guess I never really looked at it in a perspective of, like, breaking it down acreage wise and, breaking it down to, like, who you're going to be competing against and everything. I never really thought about that, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess I just am constantly like racking my mind on how to like make it pencil, because I feel like the dream would be to kind of have that kind of thing going. And yes, it is a lot of work and you're going to bust your butt, but also you're going to have more freedom if you can get to where like you can pretty much just live off that, I guess. And then,
oh, yeah.
Especially if you go back home where we have a bunch of friends and family, like you can find someone to be like, hey, like, can you just make sure the cows have water? Like,
yeah,
just make sure nothing gets out. If they do, call this person. Like, so and so is going to come over and, throw some alfalfa to the horses or whatever. And you can, go down to Arkansas and smash a bunch of ducks with the rest of your buddies for a week. You know what I mean? And not have to like worry about it that much. I think the money side of stuff, like I think about it a lot and probably too much. And I honestly want to get more people on here that have had success in the industry, because I feel like all that we talk about is like, you're not going to get rich in it. Like, honestly, the goal is to break even. Like, you hear all these things. And it kind of pisses me off, like, genuinely, because someone has to be making money somewhere. Like, there has to be a way to do it. So, figuring that side out. But, man, I am struggling with my brain today. Where was I going with that? Dude. Don't laugh at me. You're supposed to help me right here.
I'm with you, man. I don't know. Like, I get what you're saying. Like, have people on here that have like had like success in that side of the industry, but like I also think it's just the love for the way of life.
Yeah, but it needs the pencil.
I'm sure it pencils somewhere.
But that's like that's the part that I feel like no one understands, or like a lot of people probably don't even know if it does.
Well, I don't even really understand it. Like,
I don't know that I do either.
Like, I've just been lucky enough that I've had the experiences to, see that side of the world, be able to do things that way. I mean, yeah, like it does have to pencil somewhere. There's big ranches being operated down in, everywhere, like down west. Like there's huge ranches that are running off of great operation to the point to where, like, there's money being made somewhere. I just don't completely understand. Like, I don't understand that side of it.
Yeah.
I wish I did. That'd be a cool thing to know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it boils down to like an economy of scale where it just has to be so big that it like basically can't fail, or if you have to like niche it down to where like you're maximizing each possible dollar off everything you have, or what.
I bet it's stressful. I bet it is stressful.
Yeah.
Because you could have a bad year,
Yeah.
Market could be either ridiculously high or way too low. Like,
dude, that's like if you bought in right now where cattle prices are up. We talked about that on the podcast, that like right now would be a great time to own a bunch of cattle, and a great time to get rid of any of your bad ones, because they're going to bring way more than they've brought for the last however long.
Absolutely.
But tomorrow it could go back to being absolute crap, and now you have a bunch of cattle
that
I mean, it's the same with like the stock market. Like, are you going to panic and get rid of all of them? Or are you just going to try to ride it out and, deal
That's
with a
game.
slight loss now, quote unquote, in equity?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, you're still just hoping, I guess, that it will come back up. But typically it does cycle kind of like the stock market, probably more reliably than the stock market. And like eventually they'll probably be worth more money, and at least with cows they're still producing every year, hopefully, if it's a good cow, so there's some cash flow there. I don't know, I think about this shit way too much.
It's not a bad thing to think about though, especially if it's something that like really genuinely interests you. There are like obviously there's people out there that like know this stuff and
Yeah,
like have a good it, have a good understanding for how to play the cattle market game. It's just one of them situations that I think that like kind of like what I said, like you have a good year, you could have a bad year, the market could be up, market could be way down, could, have a bad calving season, this, that, the third. And like, but like there's somebody out there that understands how to make it work. Or maybe not. Maybe they're just, it's just a year to year thing that they have to figure out as it goes.
yeah,
I do think there is a point in time, and I think there is a threshold of having the amount of cattle to where like each year for a fact you're gonna bring enough to support and grow. But then like I also do feel like there's small operations which like kind of like what we've been talking about, like is something that we're interested in doing down the line one day and starting, you know, is something small. Like we're only gonna have a handful of we're only gonna have probably like 10 to 15 head, and then like we are gonna have to get mathematical with it if that's something that is like like somewhat of an income and the importance of income to us. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I feel like there's a strong threshold that needs to be that like is just something I don't understand, which I wish I did. But there's people out there that do.
Yeah,
Be dang cool to get somebody on the podcast that knows it.
yeah, there's a couple guys that I've listened to that I'd like to maybe try to get on. There's one I talked to about having on, and he sounded game, and then I was just like, all right, cool. Let me get a couple of these virtual podcasts under my belt first.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen. And then he had something come up, and it just hasn't worked out yet. But
Right. But anywho, though, like I don't know. There's enough people in it that I'm sure you could find somebody that because I would listen to it because I want to know.
yeah,
Especially for my future endeavors. Day by day though, brick by brick.
yeah,
That's how we gotta do it. But
yeah.
anywho, ditto.
I say that same thing. And then at the same time, there's that other voice in the back of my mind that's like, well, like, are you just going to always think that? Like, well, eventually, like, once I do this, then I can start to try to,
Right.
get some property either leased or owned and get some cows and
Well, that's step one. Like, gotta have the property first. Well, then you have to have good foundation for the property. You have to make sure your fencings are good. You gotta have the right areas to. Well, I mean, I can kind of tell this between me and you. Like, if we have to take care of cows or calves or anything, we're gonna do it horseback and take care of them that way. So like you're gonna have to eventually have like a hold up where that's where you would drag and brand calves and take care of calves, and then you're gonna have some sort of chute that you take care of all your cows with. It's like, all right, there is money that is gonna need to be had to be able to make even that possible,
yeah,
and I mean, not impossible. That's for damn sure.
yeah. It's
But
definitely, I don't
it's an
know.
awesome way of
I
life.
want to figure out a way to do these things that in my head is what I want to do. But you start really digging into it, and my mind starts to do the whole like, well, this is just like no way, because
No, there's a way. There's a way.
property,
What you're doing
fencing
now,
infrastructure, water infrastructure, trucks, trailers, horses, like
For
shoots
sure.
if you're gonna do that. I mean,
I don't think it's an impossible world, especially like having no like having no starting foundation, like foundation. What we're kind of lucked out with, like, yeah, we might not know all the bolts and nuts to everything that goes on, like money wise on that side, or like what it's gonna look like per se. But I think what we're lucky with is we're gaining the experience outside of what we would normally do for a job. Like you're working there, riding horses all the time, working cows. I was in Texas, rodeoing. I had a lot of opportunities to learn how to, gather, work, and doctor and ship, shipping yearlings. Like I had a lot of experience doing that. So what we're gaining right now is the knowledge on how to do it,
yeah,
which is a good thing because like that's kind of like how that's you got to know how to do that kind of stuff before you try to just dive headfirst into something like that. And then one day you get to a point where you can do it and you're more comfortable doing it.
yeah. And then we'll be able to put together a bunch of properties, and we can put some ponds in them, and then we can start to manage the ponds so they
Ducks.
get ducks on them.
It sounds like such an awesome idea.
Oh, dude.
I don't think it's impossible though. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't put no ceiling on. Kind of like what we were talking about earlier, like in this podcast of like chasing this thing. You know, wrapping yourself up into chasing a thing. It's like, yeah, that is like an awesome way of life that, we both obviously have very similar insights on wanting to live that way and do those kind of things up in the Northeast. But like, I also really do believe in the fact that, like, hang on, give me 1 second. Sorry about that.
You're good.
Had a dog like trying to like eat my door. Wasn't cool. But like what I was saying about like this, like don't put a ceiling on the fact that like you might think it's impossible because if you already put that ceiling on, you're never gonna reach that full idea. That's why like for me, it's like, yeah, we're talking about it and like we both know it is gonna take money to do, and but like for me, it's like, yeah, well, I'm okay with maybe not having as much money, but still doing this thing that I really do love doing and enjoy doing. And so, like, there's two sides of the coin.
Yeah,
You know, it's just how you want to look at it.
yeah.
It's
And
not
I
impossible,
guess my thing too is like, I don't. Maybe this is what I was trying to get at earlier when my brain just like completely crapped itself. But I don't really care about money per se. I just want the freedom to be able to do the things I want to do with the people I want to do those things with,
right?
like when I want to do it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean that. Yeah, that's just living life. That's just no matter what you're doing. If you find that right line of work that is just truly like it doesn't feel like a job. You're
Yeah.
going to be doing that either way. Like you're going to have that freedom if what you make your life to be is something you two truly have a lot of passion and love and happiness and drive for. It's like that. It's never going to feel like a job, and you're going to be able to live as freely as what you were just saying that way. Yeah, that's what I think. I could just be very. I'm just. I think I'm just a very optimistic person. I think there's a lot of optimism that goes with me, but like you need to have that though, because like I don't like something I like now that I feel like I do and I can be better at, but like I don't put a ceiling on any possibility. Like if I want that way of life, which I do, it's like I'm gonna find a way to make it happen because it's truly what I like. I do love it and I do have a passion for it. Don't have as much knowledge in it as I probably need. Like, but that's what growing and learning and researching and figuring like that's all for. I'll learn more about it that way to see if that's really a path I'm gonna be able to go down.
Yeah.
I wish I had more knowledge on like I have knowledge on the industry on the rodeo side of things. And I have knowledge on the industry and what I've been able to learn and see whenever I was working for Dale, which was honestly amazing and awesome. And like that's kind of why I feel now that like there's really nothing that's gonna be like a there's no there's no ceiling for me because I feel like it is really possible to do if I want to do it. Money might be thin, but I'm okay with that because it's gonna be something I love doing and it's gonna make that freedom a real thing.
Yeah.
But but yeah, that was a good conversation. I enjoyed having that conversation right there. There's stuff you were saying that I didn't even know about you.
Yeah. No, I'm
So,
curious to listen back to it to see if any of it made any sense.
probably not.
That's all right.
Probably not. It made sense to us though, kind of.
Probably.
You know. But yeah, man, it's a cool thing. That's for sure.
I think that's what I'm excited about the podcast for. I'm so bad about just how crazy schedule wise stuff is with riding and shows and all kinds of stuff, and like just scheduling anything's hard, but I'm excited to just like whatever harebrained thing that I like hear whatever and decide to like latch on to briefly and like nerd out on, to just like send a message to that person and be like, or someone that understands it better, and have them on the podcast, and then like maybe we will be able to understand these things better because I'll get someone on that has done it or has a deeper understanding and just pick their brain on the stuff that I've been thinking about for that week, because sometimes I am a little like scatterbrained on stuff, and I don't know, I like latch onto something and like halfway nerd out on it for like a month or two, and then something else happens, and
Yeah, I don't know. That's the whole point of this podcast. So can't be
yeah.
afraid to reach out. That's more people you know, the better. And then it also like I don't know. There's gonna become a time where like you're gonna do a podcast with somebody, and it's gonna be so educational to the point to where you learn something, I learn something, and then everybody else that listens is gonna learn something, even if it's like something that they have no interest in whatsoever.
Yeah. And then we'll go from 10 listeners to 11.
Something like that, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just enjoyable to be able to like sit down and actually just have like conversations with you like during this podcast that like maybe we wouldn't just necessarily have outside of it, like because like I was learning things about you during that point that I didn't really know or necessarily like have a full grasp on myself. So that's the whole point of the podcast. So I think you got a good thing going. I think just reach out to everybody and like get them on.
Yep, for sure. That's enough of our off the wall stuff, I guess. Maybe it's not that off the wall, but let's try to wrap it up. So I got a handful of questions here. Um, One of them is just, what is your favorite memory that you're taking away from your time in Texas?
Oh, dang, man.
Just a
Um,
real easy question.
yeah, the easiest question. I think for me, favorite memory, favorite memory. One that like stuck out with me the most was whenever I don't know, this is kind of like was all summer long, I guess, but getting to travel all through Texas with the boys and get the I saw a bunch of really cool rodeos, rode in a bunch of really cool rodeos and had some success and I don't know, I think like that is like overall like my favorite memory just getting to travel with a group of guys that had really like mindsets, had very very like morals and it made it a blast to go down the road and, you know, get to experience all these cool places and all these, cool ass things with these guys. And um so like that's probably like my, you know, favorite. That's probably what I took away the most memory wise from being in Texas. But I don't know. There's a lot of things I'd like. Working cows for um, a couple different ranches. That was always a blast. And I don't know, just getting on in the practice pen at the house. That was always really fun because it was just all of us were driving to be better, and there was no one really in a bad mood. It was always very uplifting, and it was just always a really good time.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite
Uh,
rodeo while you were down there?
Oh man, I think recent my favorite rodeo that kind of just sticks in my head like right away probably was the Big Tex deal in Dallas. It was during the oh my god, I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, it was during one of the Emmy finals down there. So it was this big deal that started the UPRA year off for the most part. A lot of money was added. It was a 2 night deal. Got on both nights. I rode both my horses. Had a really, really good ride on a horse that kind of manhandled me earlier in the year, but um, that kind of just allowed me to see progression in what I was doing, which I loved. It was just, we filmed it, made a really, really cool YouTube video out of it. That's on Dale's channel, and um, I don't know. That was one of the rodeos that just kind of stuck out most to me at the end of the year because I don't know. It was really cool. The first NFR was in that building, so it was really, really cool to ride in that building, in that atmosphere. Um, yeah, it was a blast. I had a lot of fun at that rodeo. Drew two really, really, really good horses, rode them both, and I don't know. That was just leaving that weekend, going back to the drawing board and the practice pen. It really just showed a lot of growth and strength. Won some money and had a lot of fun at that one for sure.
Yeah. All right, this is like off the wall, but how come you did not get to go duck hunting with Evan Felker?
I think I wasn't in town whenever they went and did that. I don't think.
Dude.
I didn't even know that happened until pretty much when that video dropped. No one really no one really talked about it. I guess I didn't really connect any dots whenever they were saying they were gonna go. Well, they were supposed to go work cows, which they did. I think
Yeah.
that was just a plus. But I don't know. It was really cool just to know that they did that. Turnpike is jam up.
Dude, I haven't watched the video yet, but I was like, dude, I already love Turnpike, and then I don't know. I'm just like, damn.
Yeah, that's most definitely one of
Dream
them
stuff
things.
right there, dude.
Yeah, dude, that was really cool. That was really cool for whoever who went, and I think it was Kevin and Donnie got to go, and it was really cool for them to go because I mean they both love Turnpike too. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's funny that I didn't even connect many dots on that happening until like pretty much when the video dropped.
Yeah. But all right, moving on to the next one. How was your first NFR experience?
Most definitely going again. Being out there for 2 weeks is a drag. I mean, we had a lot of fun. The booth was awesome. Um, if anybody's listening to this, that's going to be at the NFR next year. Make sure you go to the Rodeo Time booth, meet Dale, meet the guys, buy some stuff. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming out this next year. That's going to be there. But yeah, like working that booth, it was really cool. A lot of people like met a lot of people. Um, the booth did really, really well. But then, like outside of that, like we would go back to the house, watch the NFR on TV and the Airbnb, and I don't know, we got do some really cool podcasts. Like we had Sam Barber on. Um, Went to his concert that night. He played a killer show. Then we did a podcast with a world champion boxer, Caleb Plant, which was awesome. That's a really good story. Um, awesome guy. Got to do a podcast with Justin Rumford. And then we got to go see Zach Top at the MGM. We're buddies with one of the guys that used to work for Rodeo Time that now works for Zach, and awesome dude. So we got to go spend time with him, meet Zach and the crew, and hang out, watch him play the MGM. And I don't know, it was just a really cool experience. Vegas is most definitely it's a different world out there, but I'm most definitely going to go again this upcoming winter. I'm going to go out for a couple days just knowing how easy it is to go out there now and spend time and be able to actually have a lot of fun out there. Like, it is a blast. I think anybody that loves anything in the Western industry, go to the NFR. You're going to have a blast.
Yeah, it's something that's definitely on my bucket list, I guess, to get out there at some point, and I'm sure it's extra cool for you when you kind of know some people and there's a chance of running into some of those connections when you go back out there. So
Oh yeah, it's a blast. And like everybody I met out there and everybody, crazy to say, like even like the celebrities I met out there, like all of them were just awesome people and awesome people to hang around and be around and meet and have conversations with. It was a really good time.
yeah,
It was a blast.
right on. So last one, I think. What do you want the next year to look like? And that could be rodeo wise or life wise or however you want to take it. But I mean,
Life wise, I'm kind of in the groove of getting back to being used to Pennsylvania a little bit. I mean, not that I was gone forever, but it's just, you know, just the stress of getting everything back moved in, getting life kick started up here. But life wise, in the next year, get a job I'm passionate about, you know, which I'm going to be working with my dad here pretty eventually. So I'm going to be very passionate about that because that's kind of a family deal. Um, that keep growing strong in my faith. Keep keep learning. Keep reading the Bible. Just keep doing the things that I really do enjoy doing, and you know live life one day at a time, and set goals, chase them. Rodeo wise, like I said, I have my APRA card again. I'm gonna get my IPRA card, and I'm also getting my PRCA permit. I'm gonna have all those cards, but the goal is obviously to win each of those circuits. But I'm gonna just get on one bucking horse at a time, one weekend, one day at a time. Live in the moment, enjoy it, and where the cards fall, they fall. Obviously, I want to make the circuit finals in the PRCA. I think that'd be awesome for up here, and um, something that I most definitely have a lot of goals about, and I think it's very doable. And so that's kind of where rodeo's at for me. Just get on as many broncs as I can and do better than I did the year before.
heck yeah, dude. I'm stoked for you. I know you're going to crush it in whatever you do, and fired up for you to be back with the fam and the friends and still being able to get on bucking horses and hopefully crush a bunch of ducks this next year.
That's the goal, I hope.
Dude, I'm hoping I can hunt some around here next year. I just got to put the time in to find some places. And I'm not that far from Arkansas, and we know a guide out there, so.
We know guys.
But he is kind of always busy. But he posted the other day on his story, he's like, hey, mega goose feed, need shooters for tomorrow. $100 a gun. And I'm like, that's pretty cheap for a greasy goose hunt.
Yeah.
And I messaged him, and he's like, dude, come out. And he's like, I've seen y'all shoot, like, come out. And I was like, I can't. But next year, if I get my Arkansas license for the whole year, I might be heading out there a little bit more.
Yeah, dude, I most definitely, I hope you guys do a trip again next year because you bet I will be there.
Yeah, dude. Or somewhere else. We got to go somewhere. PA sucks for waterfowl, not going to lie.
Yeah, well, that's what's nice about being able to travel and also knowing how easy it is to travel now. You can make it happen.
Yep.
But
It's not as hard as you
having,
think it is.
No, not even close. But well, thanks for having me on again, man. I'm sure we're gonna do another one down the line.
Yeah,
Next
dude.
time we need to be in the same room and hanging out again. It's been too long.
Yeah. Assuming this one actually turns out, it'll be the first virtual podcast I post, so.
Heck yeah.
Recorded
Well, I'm happy.
one prior and lost the audio, but we're learning, I guess.
Things happen.
That's life.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, dude.
Heck yeah, man. Well, appreciate you for having me on again, man. And keep following, keep listening. Western Blend, it's gonna blow up one day.
Yep. One day.
One day.
All right, we'll catch y'all on the next one.
Later.